They told me one thing before we walked in. Just smile. And don't speak. My name is Alyssa Carter. I'm 29. And that night wasn't just my sister's promotion event. It was a performance. A room full of executives, awards, cameras, applause. But I already knew something they didn't. The project she was being promoted for was built under my login, my work, my reports, my access. Just not my name. So I stayed quiet. I watched. I let it happen. Until the moment they opened the system, checked the submission history, and realized the name on the screen was never supposed to be hers. And in that moment, it wasn't just a mistake. It was proof. If you've ever watched someone take credit for your work, subscribe. This one hits real. The message came from my mom. Not a call. Not casual. A formal text. Be ready by 6. It's important. That word again. Important. But she didn't say why, didn't explain anything, just a location, a hotel downtown, and one more line. Dress nicely. That's when I knew. This wasn't normal, because in my family, nothing important ever included me. Growing up, there was always a difference. Not obvious, not loud, but consistent. My sister Emily, she was the one people noticed, the one introduced first, the one remembered. And me? I was the background, the one who didn't interrupt, didn't argue, didn't need attention. At least, that's what they decided for me. My mom didn't control things by shouting. She didn't need to. She used smaller methods. A look, a pause, a quiet sentence like, "Not now. Let her speak. Don't make it awkward." And over time, I stopped trying, because silence was easier than being corrected. I didn't just work on projects. I handled back-end systems, access logs, internal drafts, submission portals, the kind of work no one notices, but everything depends on. And that's where it started. Because when something gets submitted, the system records everything. Time, user, edits. And I was the one submitting most of it. But somehow, that data never showed my name. When I arrived at the hotel, everything made sense. Banners, company logos, people in suits, a stage, and my sister, standing at the center of it all, smiling, confident, celebrated. Regional Excellence Award? That's what the screen said, and my chest tightened, because I recognized the project name underneath it. When I saw the screen at the event, I didn't just recognize the project. I recognized the version 14.3. That was my final build, the one I submitted at 2:17 a.m., 3 nights before deadline. That's when I knew this wasn't overlap. This wasn't teamwork. This was replacement. "Don't say anything tonight," my mom said. But this time, I didn't just hear control. I heard pressure. Because this event wasn't just about my sister. It was about status, her reputation, her image, her story. Emily wasn't just being promoted. She was being presented. And I was the part of the story that didn't fit. The room felt scripted. People repeating the same compliments, same phrases. Brilliant execution, outstanding leadership, incredible vision. I stood there, listening to them praise something. I remembered building alone, and for the first time, it didn't hurt quietly. It hurt clearly. I stopped feeling small. That was new. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't unsure. I was watching, connecting things, patterns. Mom's behavior, Emily's confidence, the missing credits. And slowly, the confusion turned into clarity. Then something unexpected happened. A senior executive walked onto the stage, file in hand, reviewing something carefully. He paused, frowned slightly, then leaned toward the mic, and said, Before we continue, I need to confirm something. The room shifted instantly. Emily's smile tightened. My mom's posture changed, and my heartbeat slowed. Because for the first time that night, something wasn't going according to their plan. The executive didn't continue. He just stood there, looking down at the file again, then back at the screen. That small pause? It shouldn't have mattered, but it did. Because the room felt it. The shift, the uncertainty. And for the first time that night, the applause didn't come. He adjusted the mic slightly. Calm. Professional. But before we finalize the recognition, pause. I just want to confirm the lead contributor on this project. Simple sentence. Nothing dramatic. But it hit like pressure, because suddenly, this wasn't celebration anymore. It was verification. Emily stepped forward slightly. Too quickly. Too confidently. Yes, that would be me, she said. Smile still there. Voice controlled, but I noticed it. Her fingers, tapping lightly against the podium. She was steady on the outside, but not inside. The executive didn't nod, didn't smile. He just looked back at the document. Carefully, like something didn't align. Strange, he murmured. Soft enough, but not soft enough. Because now people were watching closer, listening harder. And Emily? She stopped moving. He flipped one page, then another, then said, because the original submission, pause. Lists a different name. Silence. Not loud, but heavy. Because now, this wasn't doubt. This was conflict. My mom stood up slightly from her seat. Too fast. Too reactive. There must be some confusion, she said quickly. Smiling, trying to smooth it, fix it, control it, like she always did. But this time, no one responded to her. People started whispering, quiet, controlled, but noticeable. Eyes shifting from the stage, to the screen, to Emily. And then, some of them looked at me, not fully understanding yet, but sensing something. And that feeling was spreading. I didn't panic. That was new. I didn't look at my mom. Didn't look away. I just stood there, watching it unfold. Because for once, I wasn't trying to stop it. I wasn't fixing it. I was letting it happen. The executive leaned closer to the mic again. Calm. Measured. The lead name listed here is... He paused. Not for drama, for accuracy. And that pause felt longer than anything before, because everyone was waiting. Then he said it. Clear. Confident. Alyssa Carter. My name. Not quiet, not hidden, not ignored. Spoken. In front of everyone. Emily froze. My mom went completely still. And the room turned toward me. No one clapped. No one moved. My name just hung there in the air, like it didn't belong, like it wasn't supposed to be heard in that room. I didn't step forward, didn't react, because I didn't need to. For the first time, the truth wasn't coming from me. People turned, row by row, slowly, confused, trying to understand what just happened, who I was, why my name was there, and I could feel it. That shift, from background to focus, something I had avoided my whole life, now unavoidable. Emily tried to recover, quickly, too quickly. There's been a mix-up, she said, laughing lightly, but it didn't land. Her voice didn't carry confidence anymore, it carried pressure, and for the first time, people didn't believe her instantly. The executive didn't step back, didn't apologize. He simply said, the original drafts were submitted under this name. And then, he looked directly at me, not questioning, not accusing, just confirming, like he already knew and was waiting for the room to catch up. In that moment, everything came back. Every late night, every revision, every email I sent. That never came back with my name on it. I had seen this before, felt this before, but I never said anything, because I thought it was easier that way. My mom stepped forward again. This time, her voice tighter, controlled. "Alyssa helped," she said, soft, careful, like she was rewriting the truth in real time. But that word, helped, it didn't fit anymore. Not after what had just been said. "I didn't help," I said. Pause. "I submitted the entire project, under my ID. That changed everything, because now, this wasn't opinion. This was traceable. You could feel it. That exact moment, when people stop guessing and start understanding. Expressions changed. Postures shifted. The whispers stopped. Because now, there was no confusion left. Only truth." Emily's composure broke. Not loudly, not dramatically, but visibly. Her shoulders dropped. Her smile disappeared completely. And for the first time, she didn't have a response ready, because this wasn't something she could talk over. The executive didn't stop there. He said, "Actually, we flagged this last week." Silence. "Because the login used for final submission doesn't match the name listed for promotion." That hit harder than anything, because now, this wasn't discovered by accident. They already knew. And this event wasn't just a celebration, it was an exposure. No one spoke. Not even Emily. Not my mom. Not the people who had been clapping just minutes ago. Because proof changes everything. Opinions can be argued. Stories can be twisted. But facts? They don't move. And now the room wasn't reacting. It was processing. The stage didn't feel the same anymore. It wasn't hers. Not fully. That confidence, that control she had a few minutes ago, gone. And without it, she looked different. Smaller. Not because someone attacked her, but because the truth removed what wasn't real. My mom tried again. One last time. "This isn't necessary," she said. Forced smile, tight voice, like she was trying to end the moment. But no one listened. Because for the first time, she wasn't the one controlling the narrative. The executive nodded slightly. Calm. Measured. "We'll need to review the award allocation." That was it. No shouting, no drama, just a decision. But that sentence, it carried more weight than anything else that night. Because now, this wasn't personal. It was official. Emily didn't argue, didn't defend herself again, because she couldn't. Not with facts in front of her. And I saw it. That moment where it finally hit her. Not just that she was exposed, but that she couldn't fix it. I didn't feel angry. That surprised me. No satisfaction, no revenge, just clarity. Because for years, I thought I was being overlooked. But now I understood. I was being replaced. And there's a difference. I looked at my mom, calm, steady, and said, "You knew." Not a question, a statement. She didn't answer, didn't deny it. And that silence said everything. I looked at my mom and finally understood. She didn't do this because she hated me. She did it because Emily was easier to present. Confident, outgoing, visible. And me? I was quiet, technical, replaceable. In her mind, I wasn't the one who should be seen. I was the one who should support the one who is. I thought I was keeping peace. I said quietly. No one interrupted. I didn't realize. Pause. I was protecting something that wasn't true. That landed deeper than anything else. Because it wasn't accusation. It was realization. My mom whispered, "We did what was best for the family." That sentence ended it. Completely. Because now I understood. It was never about fairness. Never about truth. Just about comfort. And I finally knew. I was never meant to speak. No one stopped me when I turned to leave. That was the first sign everything had changed. Because before, someone always had something to say. A correction, a reminder, a quiet instruction. But now, nothing. I walked past the same people who had been clapping minutes ago. Their eyes different now. Not dismissive, not indifferent. Aware. And that felt strange. Not because I needed their attention, but because for the first time, they were seeing me without someone else defining me. I didn't rush, didn't look back. Because some exits don't need an audience. The company didn't just review the project, they froze the promotion. Internal audits started, emails were pulled, access logs reviewed, submission trails checked, and for the first time, the truth wasn't emotional, it was documented. My mom started calling, more than usual, texts first, then calls, then longer messages, trying to explain, to adjust, to fix. But I didn't rush back. Not out of anger, out of understanding. Because I finally saw the pattern clearly. And once you see something like that, you can't unsee it. So I created distance, not to punish them, but to protect myself. I saw Emily once after that. Not at an event, not in front of people, just normal. And she looked different, not weaker, just quieter, less certain. Because when your identity is built on something that isn't yours, losing it doesn't just affect your career, it affects how you see yourself. And for the first time, she wasn't the center of everything. I didn't become louder. That's the part people expect. That I would finally speak more, prove more, show more. But I didn't. I stayed quiet, just differently. Before, my silence came from fear, from control, from being told to step back. Now, my silence came from choice. And that changes everything. Because choosing not to speak is very different from not being allowed to. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel like I had to prove anything. Not at work, not at home, not to anyone. Because the truth had already done its job. I didn't need to repeat it, didn't need to defend it, didn't need to fight for space anymore. I already had it. And that feeling was something I had never experienced before. Not confidence, not pride, just peace. A week later, I got an email. Not from my mom, not from my sister, from the company. Subject line, clarification and opportunity. They didn't apologize, but they offered something else. A position, higher level, different department, based on verified contribution. That's when it hit me. I didn't need to fight for recognition. I just needed truth to be seen. I didn't ignore it, but I didn't go back either. I replied simply, I need things to be different. Not emotional, not aggressive, just clear. Because this time, I wasn't asking for understanding. I was setting conditions. And whether they accepted that or not, wasn't something I could control anymore. That night changed something important. Not just what others saw, but what I accepted. I used to think being quiet meant being overlooked, that staying out of conflict meant keeping peace. But now I understood. Sometimes silence doesn't protect you. It protects the version of reality someone else created. And the moment you stop participating in that, everything shifts. I was told to stay quiet, to smile, to let someone else take what was mine. And for years, I did. But the truth doesn't disappear. It waits. In systems, in records, in moments people don't plan for. And when it shows up, it doesn't ask permission. It just replaces the story with the truth. If you've ever been overlooked while doing everything right, subscribe, because silence doesn't mean you're invisible.